Well, this is take three of going live, and it seems that I finally got my microphone working. So I wanted to go live and record a reflection on the end of the year because I recorded one back on March 15th in my videos about what I thought would happen. And now I want to reflect back on what really did happen with us as we learned in this crazy learning environment here in 2020 as March 13th, school shut down by executive order by the governor. And that next Monday, I put lessons up. Some of my students did those lessons. Some of them didn't know they were there. I put them on my normal website. And the executive order didn't give any direction. We didn't know we'd be closed that long. And later, we learned we'd be closed longer. And we went to shift from my website to Schoology. And we had 8 weeks starting April 20th where students were learning online. And I don't feel like I was teaching that much. I feel like I was assigning. So for my students out there that felt they were doing a lot more work, you were. You didn't have me talking about things. You didn't have me available to answer questions unless you showed up to office hours. And you didn't have the demonstrations, the hands-on activities. There was so much that I felt was missing out of the instruction. Students were basically watching videos and reading things and reacting and responding to them. So here's my takeaways. We weren't ready for sure. Students struggled to understand what was expected of them because they weren't always used to reading written instructions. They liked to hear them. Even when teachers made videos, they might not have clicked them. I did make a video each week where students were supposed to start and watch a video that walked them through what they were doing. And a lot of the students say they were distracted. Yep, there's a lot that distracts you in the house. For me, it was a dog, kids, other things. So there's lots of things that can distract us. We also had students say that 11 o'clock was a very tough time to make office hours. Science department here for me, we had office hours Tuesday and Thursdays, 11 o'clock. I think our greatest attendance was about 10. On Thursdays, we played Kahoot. We gave away $5 to the people who won each week, and we usually played two, so $10 each week opportunity in an hour's worth of time. The same students kept showing up. So I just struggled with how do we get engaged? And we have to front load our instruction. If we do meet again face to face in the fall, which is all my hopes, I love face to face teaching, seeing the students' eyes, seeing when they don't understand, seeing, because right now you don't see anything. I can't see out into the interweb, whatever people don't want. Even when students show up to a Zoom meeting, they can put a picture up, and that's fine. I want to respect them as a learner and where they are comfortable. So how can we do it? We have to front load. We have to teach students how to engage online. We have to talk about a schedule, setting up when you want to do the work. What are you going to do? What do you need to check? How do you use the tools? Where do you need to go? But better yet, the most important thing, and I talked about it on the news a lot, was teaching students to ask teachers for help. Those were the most awkward conversations over this time. It was frequently, what do I do? You go do the lesson. It's right there in Schoology. I understand how it works. Click on the video part one, go down in the order. But maybe that's not what they're asking. And we have to know how to meet that student where they are. You need to do something. So that was a struggle. And then what am I missing? Where to look for the grades, where was Mr. Block keeping track of it. I kept track of Empower Schools, even though Schoology reported things, and CK12, which is another tool we used. There was that struggle. We did switch 2 weeks in from just having the students go over to CK12 to embedding CK12. I thought the embedded was a lot better for me, but I don't know how the students think. So in reading through students' responses and reflections, a lot of them said they wouldn't change much, but maybe make it less. Some of them said they were distracted easily. It's very easy to be distracted in this environment. So we're doing it again. We have to talk about those things in the classroom before we say you're going to be at home. We have to talk about those things in a video as a first introduction. We have to teach the tools that we're using. We have to teach the expectation and the communication. Okay. We allowed students to communicate in such a variety of ways, and it worked. We wanted to accept anything that works, but there should be a standard. There's a tool in Schoology. There's an email right there. We have email that they can use as well. They have a student email in Office, but then they ended up talking on Remind, or they sending a message through CK12, all these different places. And as a teacher, I got lost looking for where students were doing the work. I had students who also didn't know how to respond to discussion questions. I'm thinking that I gave them credit and I tried to help them. You need to look back in the reading, but some people copy and paste from the reading. How do we stop that as teachers and we're doing something online? We don't. We can't. So is it learning? Well, a little bit, yeah. That's what I mean. But how can we make students to share the genuine ideas? Because I had I was asking for their opinion on something, somebody copy and pasted the one above it. So, I mean, where are we going to go with those expectations, and how are we going to address those with students is really important moving forward. I really miss seeing my students face to face, and that was a common statement. Students missed being face to face, missed having somebody there at that time to answer their questions. Even though we had 2 hours a week where they could show up, even though we had email addresses and messaging systems set up that they could use, I rarely saw students use them effectively. It was a very small percentage. I do think that when we look at overall success rates, it's about there within the classroom. And, obviously the students that were worse didn't even show up. And those are the students that sit in your classroom and don't pay attention and don't care. And I don't know how to engage them in an online and learning environment. It's got to be something we try to do. So I have to get better at learning how to engage students and learning how to get them to interact more. But I also think we really need more activities and ways to engage them online. And this is tough. Maybe we send for science, we send kits home. Here's a kit. We can't assume they have things at home. We have to try different things. So this is probably just a ramble that 2 people are going to watch and hear me talk. I'm just frustrated because I feel like I was not the best teacher during this time. I felt like I was an assigner and a grader, and those are things I did, but I didn't get to interact with my students. I didn't get to formatively see where they are, because my formative assessment model is I can walk around and look at what a student's doing and tell if they get it. I can ask them a question. I tried that in these things. It's not timely. It doesn't work the same way. This is why the research out there says that a blended model works best. You meet, talk about what you're going to do online, do it. A flipped method works great too. So I'm trying to think for next year, because I have no idea what this is going to look like. I hope we go back to face. I hope that's what happens. So put comments on here if you have any other things you want to talk about, because I really miss the classroom. I miss seeing the students. At the end of the year, we don't have the same celebrations. Yesterday, we did, have a drive-by for the 8th grade. I've been working on making videos and stuff for the student news with some incredible students, but there's a lot of students that I want to say, hey, have a great summer too, and I'm missing. So have a great summer. This was just my ramble. I hope it will be here for me to reflect on and think about when next school year starts. It's good talking to you.